Hi everyone, I'm David Rieder, and we are off deck. This past weekend we were in Rhode Island to provide coverage of the Swimming World Fall Classic hosted by Bluefish Swim Club. While we were there, I sat down with Bluefish head coach Chuck Batchelor for a discussion about, well, a lot. We spent a lot of time discussing how he identifies young talented swimmers and how he convinces them that they have potential. And we talked about why he likes prelims, finals, meets in early fall, what he thinks about the new restrictions on tech suit for young age group swimmers. Of course, we also talked about his most famous protege, Elizabeth Beisel, who spent quite a bit of time training with Batchelor and Bluefish this past year. I think you guys will really enjoy the interview. All right, we're here at the Swimming World Fall Classic in Bristol, Rhode Island. I'm David Rieder. This is Chuck Batchelor, the head coach of Bluefish Swim Club, putting on this meet. It's been a fun meet to stream, and we're going to have a conversation with Chuck about about coaching, about doing what he does, which is running a very successful club up here in New England, and what it takes to make great swimmers. Chuck, thanks for sitting down and doing this.
Thank you. We really appreciate you guys coming down, and makes for a fun event.
It is always fun to be here. So we've seen some of your good swimmers already this weekend. Harry Holman's obviously. His name's gonna be all over that pool record board soon enough. And last night we saw Gianna Spermulo taking down one of your former great swimmers, Elizabeth Beisel's pool records. What does it take to make a great swimmer? How do you decide, how do you say, okay, I think this person's going to be good? How do you tell them, okay, you're going to be good, and here's what you need to do to make good on that talent?
Well, that's that's a pretty tough question.
Yeah.
I think everybody's different, so I think it's a mistake to compare anybody to another person. However, there are certain trends. Certainly, I would say a commonality with every good swimmer that I've had, an enjoyment of racing is almost crucial. Obviously, work ethic and things like that are very, very important, but I think fundamentally, having fun racing and being willing to kind of go places that your average person wouldn't go. And when I say go places, kind of within themselves in a discomfort level that they start to become comfortable with.
Right.
So that would be one, and then of course, some basic athleticism and kind of ability to handle some workload and willingness to work, and but I think ultimately it keeps coming back to the racing.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to say one thing, they gotta love to race.
Because you talk about knowing that, okay, we have this person and they're going to be good. Does that mean, and you obviously fast track people, having an Olympian who is 15 years old in Elizabeth Beisel, and you have someone like Gianna who you're expecting to be about ready to make that leap right now.
I'm not gonna jump the gun and say Olympic per se, but
sure.
But she's on track to continue to get much better.
Right.
What was the question with that?
So I guess there wasn't really a question there. It's about preparing them. How do you know when they are mentally ready to do something like that? Because saying, hey, I need you to give this a little bit extra because this next level, which, junior national level, is well within reach. You just need to give me this little bit more.
I think, at least for me, my methodology would be, and it's not just those athletes, but talking to them all the time.
Okay.
Just, I'm not a guy that has a formalized goal meeting with any athlete. Elizabeth, any athlete.
Yes.
Every now and then I'll have an athlete that may request something a little more official, and I do everything in my power to make it as casual as possible. But at the same time, daily, weekends like this, I'm constantly talking to them so that there's really never a surprise. They kind of know that the next thing is coming or whatever, and certainly having had multiple athletes make it to the national junior team or national team level, I don't want to say there's an expectation, but there's a pathway, and so I can certainly see certain trends and benchmarks in practice and things like that where, so for example, Gianna, at this moment, she's nowhere near what Elizabeth was like in practice.
Sure.
But if I go back to Elizabeth at a very young age, I could see Gianna making some of the same kinds of improvements that Elizabeth made in somewhat of a parallel way. And there's been other swimmers, Brooke Ziegler and some other swimmers that went on a similar kind of path, and there's some trends, and we can do certain things, and then I can explain to Gianna, well, we do a lot of back straps. So when Gianna joined the team, her back strap was horrible. Well, now it's better than horrible.
It's not horrible.
It's not horrible. It's getting better. And with that, I can kind of explain to her that, well, your backstroke's now better. And then as we get to another place, we can even start to predict some times from what she's doing in practice. So, I think talking to them, that's the key. About all kinds of stuff. It's not always just swimming.
Good relationships, which obviously we know you have with your swimmers.
Yeah.
So next topic, it's mid-October, and here we are at a prelims finals meet.
Right.
That you guys are hosting, you're putting on, because there aren't a lot of those they're putting on suits at night, some of them even in the morning. What is the value of having this kind of meet this early in the season? Because even though it's maybe a little earlier than normal,
right,
you still usually have it
early,
late October, early November.
I mean, I think that there's a certain training component that while there are ways you can try to get it in practice, there's no better way than a meet like this. They're tired. I mean, I told you before, over Columbus weekend, they did about 60 grand in 3 days. So that's not that long ago. But, I was talking to my very good friend and mentor, Dan Flack, down at Baylor, and he sent me a set that they did, and they put touch pads in, and they put suits on, and they did 3 swims off the blocks, and they did a 150 freestyle, a 2,000 race. I'm not sure if that had the suit on or not. I got to check back with Dan on that one. And then a 25 off the block. And he sent me all the things that Trey did. And so I'll brag for Dan for a second. Trey went 110 in a dive 150 off the blocks.
That's really fast.
That's unbelievable.
That's really fast.
That's unbelievable. So us swimming in this meet with suits on, at a minimum, makes the exact same amount of sense as what Dan's doing. And Dan's had a tremendous amount of success with high school kids. He's had 3 guys under 420 in the 500 free in high school. I've never had anyone under 420. Very much looking at Dan and some of the things that he's doing. And we do this, and it just makes complete sense to me. This is, and we want them to race at 100%. And some kids are getting best times, some are close to best times,
which is impressive in October.
Absolutely. I mean, that only bodes well for later. It's not like we didn't sell the farm for this meet, so I'm not at all worried about the future with them. Never worried about swimming too fast.
It's always exciting though to see fast swimming at a time of year when you don't normally see fast swimming.
Absolutely. You got to swim fast to swim fast.
Real quick, and I wanted to touch on this. I know we just discussed this briefly the other day. Suits for younger swimmers. While we were talking about suits, New England Swimming has just restricted what suits 10 and unders can wear. Yep. Some other LSCs, 12 and unders in New Jersey, where you know Jim Wood real well, who's influential in New Jersey. What do you think about that? Do you think that's the right move?
I think it is the right move. I think it's a difficult move, which is why LSCs have been somewhat slow to do this. And on one hand, you never want to limit an athlete.
Yep.
Development or complete success. But I think if there's an even playing field and it's controlled, then it makes sense. Now, I actually don't know what some of the rules say very specifically.
Right.
But if you had an Elizabeth Meisel at age 12 going to a national level meet, well, what suit is she allowed to wear?
Agreed.
And then beyond that, though, because let's say, and I think we would all agree, she's allowed to wear whatever suit that anyone at that meet is wearing.
Yes, agreed.
But now rewind, but yet she wasn't allowed to wear that suit at the 3 or 4 meets leading up to that meet. Is that a handicap? Just not even getting used to wearing that suit. Now, at the same time, they're 12. I'm not going to get too worried.
Not
about
a lot
it.
of 12-year-olds at nationals. Right. Elizabeth is the exception, of course.
Right. So it's not an easy thing. I mean, the suits are here to stay. They dialed back a little bit, but it's still so much more than what we had.
Yeah.
But I'll be the first to admit that initially I thought the suits were horrible and that they were going to set swimming back. In reality, even though we pulled the suits back,
Yes.
people are faster. And I look at that suit period of time.
2009, 2008?
The 8 and 9, basically opening people's minds of what was possible, maybe teaching coaches some things, and now we have a plethora of faster swimmers around the world.
True.
And I think the suits absolutely have something to do with that.
Were you in support of not the 10 and unders not being allowed to wear suits in New England?
Yes, absolutely. I think from a financial standpoint and keeping kids in the sport and making it a fair playing field, I think it's a necessity.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next topic. We know the swimmer we sort of been touching on a little bit since the beginning, Elizabeth Beisel, the Olympian who you coached in. She's been on 3 Olympic teams. You were obviously her primary coach and then worked with Greg Troy moving forward once she was in college. This past year, took a lot of time off and then came back and swam with you for a while and then did some different training camps. But she was swimming with you more this past year than she had been in a long time. What was that like for you as a coach, and what was that like for your swimmers to have her so involved in there and go to the Olympic Training Center and being there on a day-to-day basis for a while?
Pretty awesome, and obviously, Elizabeth will light up a room, but she also gained a lot from our guys who, right now in their career, they just absolutely love to swim. And there was Elizabeth kind of really struggling with coming back to the sport a little bit, and it was equally beneficial, I think. They and myself gained a lot of perspective and learned a lot from Elizabeth, but also she gained a lot from these kids that just love to swim.
Yeah.
And it was great. I'm glad to have had, I would have loved to have had a little bit more of a consistent year.
Okay.
Selfishly, right? I mean, I am the luckiest guy in the world to have had the time that I've had with her, and to maintain a relationship with her. So, and she'll be in my life for the rest of my life. So it's a pretty awesome relationship. You know her very well. There is nobody like Elizabeth Beisel. You meet her and you fall in love with her, and then that stays forever. But to have her in the pool and to have her teach this generation that really was removed from her is fantastic. To have her kind of relocated back to the Northeast, and to potentially have her drop into practice, because while she's done competing, she plans to continue to swim to maintain fitness. So, she went to New Zealand, but she was at practice before she left for New Zealand, and she'll be at practice probably next week. So everyone looks forward to seeing her. She can get in, do the first 2 sets, and then see what I put up on the board and decide she's done. And then she and I can go out to dinner. It's perfect.
You think she really is done for good?
I do.
Okay.
But I'm certainly open to her potentially not being done. But I would say right now, all indications would say she's done.
Okay.
And very happy and comfortable with that. And enjoying, I know she's going to continue to do some things for Speedo. She's definitely going to continue to do things for USA Swimming with the foundation and things like that. So she's very much going to be involved. And that's one of the parts she loves. She loves the people. So if she can keep the people in her life and not have to get up on the blocks again, I think she's good.
Yeah, it was cool being there at World Championships and how much it meant to her to be involved in that. The circumstances not being what she wanted to make the World's team, but it was a good thing for the team that she was there, and it was cool that she got that opportunity to be involved, have that last race, and be a part of that team.
Continued to be proud of her. She knew from a preparation standpoint she wasn't at her best. But regardless, she was going to get up and do her very best to score points and be, initially we were a little bit concerned that she was looking at it as just being a mentor and team leader, but she very quickly kind of turned that around to, I'm a racer, and with whatever preparation I have, I'm going to do the very best I possibly can. And unfortunately, the amount of time that she had put in the last year was not quite enough. But
Real quick before we let you go,
Yeah.
some of the season we're going into in swimming is a bit of a different season. There's no major championship meet. What do you think of that? Pan packs. I know you like pan packs.
I love pan packs. You know, and I'll explain why I love pan packs. I love pan packs from an interesting point of view. You make the team, and they take more people than normal.
Yep.
You make the team in 1 or 2 events, and you can enter any event you want. Everyone gets to swim in the morning, and then only 3 Americans are going to progress to a night swim, which makes it the most honest prelim in the world.
Yep,
I actually share with you, and for people watching out there, if you're interested, contact us. When we finish our facility, I plan to do a Pan Pack format meet for clubs.
Interesting.
Be just like the Pan Packs, the founding 8 members, and then pull in some other teams and basically say, you know, each team can bring X number of swimmers. Everyone can swim anything they want in the morning, and you get 2 finals and 1 console, or vice versa. And I think it'll be just a blast, and we'll get some really great racing. It'll be different, so I think people will be interested in that. So I think the format of Pan Packs is wonderful, but like you said, there's no world stage.
Yep.
But you know, at the same time, that's probably good too, because I think if every single year was a World's Olympics, a World's Olympics, a World's Olympics, that would get a little stale. And the athletes, I think it gives the athletes an opportunity to almost recharge their batteries before they get up on the world stage again. And you always, you know, you can compare times from this meet to that meet to that meet. So
Which we will.
Yeah, of course. So it's not like we don't know where we're at and all that kind of stuff. It just, I think if it was the same thing all the time, it'd be a little boring.
This summer is the major selection meet for all teams in the next 2 years. What do you think of that?
Good and bad. I mean, if you're picking the right people, it allows them to really prepare. And if you look at certain years, we were really, really successful because of that. And I don't want to say pick the wrong people, because you pick the people who make it. But if they take a little bit more of a relaxed attitude moving forward, then you could end up in a situation where somebody younger, by the time of the competition, by the time of Worlds, they could be more the right person. We've had that happen. But, you know, again, so many things happen all the time. It's never 100% perfect. It's you know, if anything, the one thing you can count on is that there's going to be things that are not perfect.
Yeah.
And yet we still manage to be successful despite that. So I look at that really as one more challenge that makes us even more successful. So I don't see it as a bad thing.
Chuck's been around the block a few times. He's been to a few of these meets, been on a world staff. He knows what he's talking about. So very interesting insight. Chuck, as always, we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you guys very much. Thank you, David.
Always good to talk to Chuck Batchelor here at the Swimming World Fall Classic. Thanks, everyone, for watching.